Hey, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film. Thanks for joining us today. This is our 34th year of telling stories for, by, and about our community and its allies. This, however, is our first year as a hybrid festival. We are doing screenings in theater, and we're also having screening virtual as well. We have some tremendous programming this year. One of the films that we all adore is 143, which is making its world premiere at Out on Film. You can see it in theaters next weekend, and you can also see it streaming the following day, accompanied by this great Q&A. I'm going to turn this over to our tremendous moderator and board member, Belinda Hernandez. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jim. And as Jim said, we are just honored and thrilled to have 143 make its world premiere here at Atlanta's Out on Film Festival. And to get things started, let's go ahead and do a quick introduction by everyone in no particular order. Only because it's on my screen. I guess we'll start with Rory. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and it's Rory Grant, correct?
That's right. Hello, hi Belinda. Thanks for having us today. So yeah, I'm Rory. I play Paul Montclair in the film, and this was my first feature film in this sort of vein, and what an experience it was. I mean, challenges, thrills, laughs, and it all. So yeah, delighted to be here. Thank you for having us.
Fabulous. Thanks for joining us. And again, I'm just going from left to right. Ellouise, you're next up in my little Zoom box here.
Hi, my name's Ellouise Shakespeare-Hart, and I play Rebecca. It is my first feature that I've ever done. But I have worked with Jade and Alex before on some shorts. So it was really nice to get to work with them again for a longer period. We always have fun when we work together anyway, so it's always a joy.
Well, thanks for joining us. And then last but not least in my Zoom box is, of course, the driving forces behind this film. We have Alex and Jade.
Hiya, Jade Winters. And I'm Alex Hogben. Yes, so I directed it and wrote the screenplay. And so basically, as Ellouise said, we've worked with her before. And it was because of her that I liked her as an actor that we actually went on to make this feature film, because I thought she'd be great as a role as Rebecca. And she was amazing. And so it's all down to Ellouise, really.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I screened this film, and when we were discussing, this was a no-brainer to include this in our festival. I loved it. I thought it was poignant. I thought it was well done. So let's talk a little bit with Alex and Jade. Well, Jade, first of all, you are a novelist as well, and this was your directorial debut, correct? At what point, when you wrote this book, did you know that this was going to be a film, or at what point did you realize, wow, tell us a little bit about that process.
No, so basically I wrote this was my first best-selling novel, which I wrote 10 years ago. And like I said, we started making short films, and I'd obviously met Ellouise, and it was just something that clicked in my brain. I just thought, my God, she would be amazing as Rebecca. And so, yeah, I said to Alex about making a film, and she agreed. So,
wow, fantastic. Alex, when you were first approached about this, what were your thoughts when I mean, yes, this is a no-brainer to make this, but tell us a little bit about your process and how you got involved as the producer.
Well, as you said, we started off with short films, so I've produced all of those, and so this was our first feature. So it's much bigger than we've done before, basically. So it had a big learning curve, but it was fun, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got there in the end.
Yeah,
so.
it was well done, well produced, and I'm looking forward to seeing this in theater. Well, let's start off with I guess Ellouise. You are cast as Rebecca, one of the main characters in the film. When you first, and you're familiar with Jade, of course, in working with Jade and Alex, when you saw this in screenplay version, did you say, I have to play this woman? What attracted you to it?
Oh, of course. I've like I said, I've worked with Jade and Alex before, so I'm familiar with kind of their screenplays for their shorts, and they're always really exciting. They have a twist. And as I was reading it, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And when you kind of get to the end and you see what happens, it really is quite exciting. And just the thought that I would get to play a character like that, you know, Rebecca's a really juicy character. She's got loads of different kind of dimensions to her. She's on one hand, you know, she's a little bit feisty, a little bit sassy, but she's also quite, you know, soft, down to earth, and has a real vulnerability about her as well. So it was great to kind of get to play all those different sides of Rebecca.
You did a fabulous job evoking emotion. When there were moments in there where I was like, oh my gosh, I had so much empathy for the character. Yeah, so you did a fabulous job drawing on all those different dimensions.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Rory, speaking of evoking emotions, I just wanted to take this guy and say, dude, come on, wake up. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in the project, and then we'll get to some of the dimensions that Paul, you were able to draw on from him. So how did you get brought into this?
Well, the interesting thing is being a Scotsman, when you have the chance to play an Englishman, you always think maybe I can give him a bit of a nasty edge. No, I'm joking. This character to me, this is the reason why I became an actor, right? To play these characters that you've got to find a thread of empathy and understanding with them. And what a challenge. I mean, you know, talk about someone with deep-rooted issues. As soon as I saw the brief for Paul, I had to bang in an audition tape, and I was delighted when the folks asked me back for a second audition, and then I got it. And I just couldn't wait to actually get stuck into it. So I spent a lot of time really delving into what would make him be this way. And it was really exciting, but at times I was like, you know, how can I find that empathy? How can I understand this guy? And then in came the Englishman thing, and I went, right, you know, this is easy. So yeah, I mean, it was just, I think Ellouise touched on it, you know, obviously with Jade's background in novels, she knows how to write these rich, multifaceted, real characters. So there was always going to be something in there. It was just about mining in and finding it, you know, finding what the root cause of this guy's problem is.
Well,
And
you also did a fabulous job of capturing where you just want to take this guy and sit him down and say, come on, dude, this, you know, but then there was a part of me that really had empathy for him. So it was that fine balance between the two.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, yeah, I think, again, that's the beauty of the characters that were written for us. You know, he's to go and act like that, you know, it just reeks of toxic masculinity. And you say to yourself, well, where did that have come from? And, you know, once I sort of looked beneath the bonnet of this guy, you sort of saw, okay, there was a wealth of stuff to draw on. You know, he's probably been wrapped in cotton wool, told he's, you know, the best in the family, whatever it is. And when he doesn't get his own way, well, out comes this, you know, really super vulnerable lack of self-esteem, and it manifests itself as, you know, aggression and hatred and rage, despondent rage. So yeah, I mean, talk about juicy characters. It was just such a joy to work with, and challenging at times, you know.
And I don't, excuse me, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but you did a good job thinking all along what's Paul's involvement here. So we're not going to give too much away.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I want to open it up to you know, this is a film of first. It was your first feature, Rory. It was Elouise's first feature. It was Jade and Alex's first taking this novel and bringing it to feature format. I'm sure there were ups and downs and roller coasters. You all touched on some of the challenges. Talk to me about, as a film of first, what were some of those challenges that you all faced? And please feel free to just jump in whenever you feel you want to comment or elaborate or have a story to tell about the firsts.
Yeah. So basically, we had to cut a lot of the story out of the screenplay. So that was one of the problems that we had, which parts to cut out and what to keep in to keep the story going, because there was a lot more involvement with Ellouise, like Rebecca's character, and her friendship with, like, who was like watching what was going on while Genevieve has gone back to her parents' house. So it was a lot of stuff that we missed out, which for me was quite hard to drop because it added to the story, I thought.
So yeah, no, it was all just down to budget, and she had so many characters in the actual novel. You just couldn't, unless you had a multi-million-pound budget, you'd never be able to get all of that into this film. So we had made compromises basically. But I think it still turned out fine.
Yeah.
So
It did. It's someone who has not read the book, which I will now. So I went into it with just an open mind, clean slate, didn't have anything to compare it to. I think you did a good job, whatever you had to cut. I don't know what you had to cut, but still to get the impact of that story across without losing, character development. I think you did a really good job on that. What about the actors, you two, Ellouise and Rory? You said it's your first feature for both of you, but what were some of the challenges from an actor's perspective?
I think there's a lot to learn. I think if you just look at the logistics of it, learning, a huge script like that is quite chunky. Obviously you kind of have the schedule, so you have an idea as to what you need to be ready to film. It was my first time also doing stage combat, so that, not to give anything away, but yeah, it was my first time doing any
How was that? It comes across on film as, wow, this is pretty rough, but how is that, behind the scenes, the magic of filmmaking? Is there a fun part to it?
Well, I'll tell them, Jade and Alex are so supportive, but I was pregnant at the time I was filming this. So like I found out I was pregnant, and I said to them, Jade and Alex, I'm pregnant. Will you still let me do this? And they were like, still do the film? And they're like, yeah.
So they got the bubble wrap out and they're like, we're gonna wrap Ellouise in bubble wrap. So yes.
I was so nervous the whole time I was doing like the fighting. And bless her, she gave me some flowers afterwards. But,
Ellouise has got a beautiful daughter now.
Oh, congratulations. Well, you know what? Now it will live in film forever. You could say, this mommy was, you were with mommy at that point.
Her first film. So yeah, that was not only doing the kind of combat, that was a first, but also kind of being pregnant at the same time as doing it, and also having morning sickness whilst filming most of this film. It was a lot, but everyone was so supportive and so relaxed. It's such a relaxed atmosphere, but yeah, it was great, like getting to kind of really delve into this script, spend all this time as well, because you don't often get that much time to really develop a character. We had lots of rehearsals beforehand as well, and it wasn't just rehearsals, just performing it. We actually had people kind of coming in and helping us to kind of really bring out the characters as much as possible. So that I think was another first, because when you do shorts or commercials, you don't really get that time to really have such lengthy rehearsals beforehand to really prepare for your character. So that was great.
That must bring a richness to your craft and what you do, is to have that extra time, and you can really bring some layers to your character. So Rory, tell me about your first feature. You said the word challenges. What, as a first feature for you, what were some of those challenges?
Wow, where to start? So first feature in a completely different accent. So that was challenging, but compared to the subject matter and the actual the storyline, a lot of the the physicality, Ellouise touched on the sort of combat side of things. That was all very challenging, just in terms of being physically demanding, and there was a lot of pre-planning that went into that. We had an intimacy coordinator and a lot of fight coordination and things. So that made it, that bit easier. I think the biggest challenge for me was the sort of the forced intimacy, because there's no point where in the story where not to have any spoilers, but where my character there was very little reciprocation in that sense for him. So dealing with that, it just took a lot of care and attention. And after every take, checking in, is everyone comfortable? And making sure that everyone was within their realms of comfort as much as you can be. But then, of course, you've got to honor the writer and the director's vision and what the producer wants. So it was just about communication. and making sure that we hit all those marks. But in terms of being a first feature, it's certainly there were plenty of obstacles to overcome. That sort of, you know, that earning your stripes sort of thing. So it was a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, yeah. It came across in the film too, where, you know, that extra work into it, it really did. Like I said before, you all brought some richness to these characters. Going back to Alex and Jade, talk a little bit about when you're sitting down, you're brainstorming, you're like, okay, we need to make a movie. What were the challenges and maybe some of the easy wins for you early on in the process of like, okay, we need to start fundraising, we need to find budgets. When you bring LGBTQ films, you know, to people, they may be a little hesitant about getting involved in that. So tell me a little bit about the budget process and getting this produced.
So we funded it ourselves. We were going
Wow.
to buy a house, and yeah, she let me make a film instead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's a beautiful movie. Congratulations.
Yeah. But I think our main struggle was locations.
Yeah, definitely.
And trying to get a location that reflected the story, because Rebecca's character's well off. So we had to get an apartment that looked.
But we also had a big compromise on that apartment because we were only allowed 10 members of the crew, and it really was a struggle to only have that amount of people on set, including the cast as well. So 10, including cast and crew. I think that was the main issue, wasn't it? And then because we filmed it from April and we finished filming in September. So we were doing a few days a week here and there. So it was never all in one go, which again, because Ellouise was pregnant, by the end of it, she was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, I never noticed it. No, really, I never noticed it.
Yeah, so it was locations, especially like the hospital. We had to hire, obviously it was a university, what was it, like a medical centre, so it wasn't an actual hospital, so we had to hire that. But it was just, those kind of things are really expensive, so that was the main issues we had.
But again, as well, we've worked with Ellouise before, we worked with Ella before, so, and the crew we've normally worked with, so, but normally in casting for our characters, we don't normally have a problem casting anybody for the characters.
And this was during COVID, right? You're talking the year before?
2019.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
we've just filmed a feature during COVID.
Oh, wow. That's a whole nother conversation I have to talk to you about with its challenges. Yeah. So, well, is the reason that it was self-funded, was it because you wanted to have complete creative control over this, or were there challenges in trying to get other people to invest?
No, didn't think about it.
The problem with Jade is she can't wait to get the funding. So if she has an idea, then we just have to make it. So
we're in the middle of filming now, actually.
Their crew in the other room.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So in other words, as those creative juices are flowing, you want to strike while that iron is hot, I guess, right? You're like, let's do this. Yeah. I can represent that. I mean, respect that. Go ahead.
But again, it is about, it's not control. It is about it was about even the script that we had to cut out and stuff. And it is about creative control.
That's not a bad thing. No, that's not a bad thing. Yeah. What about distribution? Can you talk a little bit about that? Did you have to shop it around for distribution, Alex?
We
Went to Berlin.
We went to the Berlin Film Festival. When was that, last year? Just before the whole COVID thing started. And we had some interest there, but we decided just to go with the whole film festival route and just get it out there, really, didn't we? And then we'll just go from there. So
well, so let me ask all four of you, Out on Film, LGBTQ Film Festival, where do you see the future with a movie like this, where I think it has wide appeal, and that's just my opinion, but I think it has wide appeal. Where do you see the industry of LGBTQ filmmaking going? Here we are in 2021. Our community has made great strides, civically in many states and many countries. Where do you see us right now at 2021 on the precipice of 2022 in our industry for queer filmmaking?
I think it does need to just get out there wider. I think we've been pigeonholed for so long with our film, like everyone's films in the LGBT community, and it is difficult to get it out unless it's a big studio or
Named
that makes
actor.
and a named actor.
Not that you're not named.
No, but
I meant like, what was her name? Kate. In Cavill she did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is the thing. You're still getting past that stage of it getting to mainstream.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's still an issue. So yeah, it's
It's just about forging forward, and again, it's about when we're self-financed, we can afford to keep making the films, and just hopefully something will stick one day. So
Yes, I hear you. Well, with the ability to stream, I mean, I think that helps our industry a little bit more, because you can throw it out or cast a wider net for your audience. What about Rory and Ellouise? How do you feel as far as like LGBTQ films and where they are headed? I know that you've done a body of work, the different types of acting you've done, but this one particular being for a gay film fest. Where do you see gay films going? Here we are in 2021 and then, approaching 2022.
I mean, I would like to think that, they get more mainstream. And as Jade and Alex were saying, you do have some that are out there, but they've normally got, quite big actors attached to them. And I guess that's the beauty of streaming, that really is, one of the key ways to kind of get the movies out there and really to a wider audience as well. Because like you said, like this film is great. The story is so gripping and really does keep you on the edge of your seat. There's no reason why it's for a mainstream audience as far as I'm concerned. And it's just one of those things, you just need someone to just take a chance, and you just got to keep producing the film so that eventually someone will pick this up and say, do you know what, that's a great film, I want to put that out mainstream. But like you said, like it's so difficult because at the moment, unless you have a big actor attached, it's very hard to generate that interest. But I guess just continuing what Alex and Jade are doing, that's the best way, I think, for LGBTQ films to really get out there. As directors and producers, continuing, don't give up. Don't give up, just keep doing what you're doing.
I really did enjoy this film, and there's something I thought relatable for every person, whether you're heterosexual, gay, a person of color, female, male, Paul's character. I mean, there's just the father, there's, how many parents out there struggle with their child's sexual orientation?
Yes.
So there's something relatable for everyone. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. What's next on the horizon for Jade and Alex? What are you working on now, and what do you have coming up?
We've just finished the feature film, and we're just in the middle of shooting a web series, which we're going to put out for free to try and drum up some interest. So that's the purpose of this. And then we've got next week, we're going to be filming another feature film. Yes.
So you have no downtime, I guess is what you're saying, right? Wonderful.
Punishment.
I love it. I mean, I appreciate the work that you're doing. Ellouise, what's next for you?
Oh gosh, just plodding along really, just trying to get out there, lots of self-tapes, which is great. I'm very grateful for that. But trying to turn these into jobs, as every actor is. So yeah, at the moment, just continuing doing my self-tapes, trying to book some jobs, and hopefully again in the future, hint hint, work again with Jade and Alex.
Yes, of course. You can bring your daughter on set now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was going to say, and being a mom also.
Exactly.
What a lovely time to have a child, a baby, an 8-month-old. So that's got to be like just a bright spot, such a bright spot.
Yes. No,
Rory, what's coming up for you? What's on your plate?
So I've actually been doing quite a lot of writing over the sort of lockdown period. So I've written two sitcoms, and I must have been inspired by my experience in 143, because they all, I think the comedy is a great vehicle to shine a light on these poignant issues, and there's been a lot of light shone on the lack of diversity, especially in the past year. And I think that films like 143 are so important, and the message is so important, because the through line, well, what is it? It's that love always wins, right? Against all the odds. And I just think that's just such a metaphor for the way the world is right now. And I'm kind of I'm sort of exploring that territory with these two sitcoms. They're getting great traction. So that's keeping me quite occupied. And then I've got a feature film coming up in April, which I've got a little lead part in. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So yeah, and much of the same, auditions and just trying to stay positive and yeah, I've got two dogs as well, so they take up a lot of my attention.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah.
Well, I can't thank you all enough. I want our audience to remember these names. I think there's a bright future ahead for each and every one of you. Jade Winters, Alex Hogben, Rory Grant, and Ellouise Shakespeare-Hart. The film is 143 here in Atlanta, making its world premiere, which will be Saturday, October 2nd. I've seen it. I will be in theater to see it again on the big screen and cannot wait. And I am going to try and do as much as I can to get my friends and people out there to see this. So thank you all for the work that you do, and just keep going along during the crazy times in the middle of this pandemic. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
thanks
you so much, Belinda.
Good to see you again.
You too. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, and thank you, Jem. Cheers, Belinda. Bye, Ellouise. Take care.
Cheers to you all. Bye-bye.
Take care.